The laughter echoed through the grand ballroom like sharp glass, cutting deeper with every passing second. Hundreds of wealthy guests dressed in glittering gowns and tailored tuxedos watched as a tired, paint-stained single father stood frozen under the dazzling chandeliers. His little daughter clutched his rough hand, trying to understand why strangers were laughing at the only hero she had ever known. No one knew that within minutes, a decorated army general would walk through those golden doors, stop the celebration, and salute them, and everyone had just humiliated. In that unforgettable moment, every smile of arrogance disappeared, replaced by stunned silence and overwhelming shame. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is stronger than wealth, and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Spread Love Daily for more heart-touching stories that restore faith in humanity. It was a beautiful spring afternoon, and sunlight poured through the massive windows of the luxurious Harrison Grand Hotel. The city's most successful entrepreneurs had gathered to celebrate the 10th anniversary of technology giant Sterling Vision, led by its famous CEO, Vanessa Sterling. Everything about the event reflected perfection, from the sparkling crystal chandeliers to the elegant floral decorations that filled the ballroom with soft fragrance. Reporters waited outside while cameras flashed inside, capturing every smile, handshake, and glamorous arrival. It was the kind of party where appearance meant everything. Among the invited guests stood Rowan Mercer, wearing faded work boots, black trousers, and a simple button-up shirt that still carried tiny stains from a morning spent repairing broken walls. He had come straight from work because he couldn't afford to lose a day's wages. His invitation had arrived unexpectedly after winning a Community Appreciation Award sponsored by Sterling Vision for volunteers rebuilding homes after devastating storms. Rowan almost refused to attend, believing he didn't belong among wealthy executives, but his 8-year-old daughter, Hazel, begged him to go. She wanted to see the fancy lights she had only seen in magazines and remind her father that heroes deserved recognition too. Life had never been easy for Rowan. 5 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him to raise Hazel alone. Every morning before sunrise he prepared breakfast, braided his daughter's hair after watching dozens of online tutorials, packed her lunch, and hurried to construction sites where he worked exhausting hours. At night he helped with homework, cooked simple meals, fixed neighbors' broken fences for free whenever they needed help, and still found time to volunteer rebuilding damaged homes after storms. He never complained because every sacrifice was for Hazel's smile. Hazel admired her father more than anyone else. She often told her classmates that while other children had superheroes in comic books, she had one who carried heavy beams all day and still tucked her into bed every night with bedtime stories. She knew they didn't have expensive clothes or a big house, but she also knew they had something richer than money. They had love, honesty, and courage. As Rowan quietly entered the ballroom holding Hazel's hand, conversations slowed. People glanced at his worn boots and dusty sleeves before whispering behind expensive glasses of champagne. Some assumed he had mistaken the event for another gathering. Others wondered how security had allowed someone dressed like that inside. Rowan noticed the stares but ignored them, focusing only on making sure Hazel felt comfortable. Vanessa Sterling eventually spotted them while greeting investors. She had built a reputation as a brilliant businesswoman who demanded excellence from everyone around her. Success had filled her life with luxury but had quietly replaced empathy with pride. Seeing Rowan's appearance during such an exclusive celebration irritated her. Instead of welcoming him with gratitude for his community service, she decided to make an example out of him. Walking confidently toward Rowan, Vanessa smiled politely at first before allowing sarcasm to take over. She questioned whether he had read the dress code and suggested that construction workers belonged on building sites rather than executive celebrations. Several guests chuckled. Others laughed louder, eager to impress the powerful CEO. Rowan lowered his eyes, embarrassed not for himself but because Hazel had to witness the cruel moment. Hazel squeezed her father's hand tighter. She looked around at all the laughing faces, unable to understand why adults with beautiful clothes could speak so unkindly. Rowan simply smiled gently at his daughter, silently telling her everything would be all right. Years of hardship had taught him that dignity often meant remaining calm when others expected anger. The room continued buzzing with uncomfortable laughter until something unexpected happened. The grand entrance doors slowly opened once again. Every conversation stopped as an elderly army general wearing a chest full of medals entered the ballroom with quiet confidence. His uniform reflected decades of honorable service, and his presence alone commanded immediate respect. Security officers stepped aside without hesitation as he walked across the polished marble floor. The general ignored every executive waiting to greet him. Instead, his eyes searched the crowd until they landed on Rowan Mercer. His serious expression softened into gratitude. Without saying a single word, he walked directly toward the confused single father. Guests watched curiously, assuming the officer must have mistaken Rowan for someone else. Then, before anyone could understand what was happening, the general stopped exactly one step away from Rowan. He stood perfectly straight, raised his right hand, and delivered a flawless military salute. The ballroom became so silent that even the distant music seemed to disappear. The general explained that years earlier, during a catastrophic flood that destroyed several communities, he had been trapped inside a collapsing volunteer shelter while coordinating emergency rescue efforts. Debris blocked the exits, and rising water threatened everyone inside. Before trained rescue teams could arrive, one young construction worker ignored every warning, crawled into the unstable building, and risked his own life to carry trapped victims out one by one. That fearless volunteer was Rowan Mercer. The general admitted that Rowan had refused every medal, every newspaper interview, and every financial reward offered afterward. He had simply returned to work the next morning because, in his own words, helping people was never something that deserved applause. The general confessed that without Rowan's courage, he would not be alive today to watch his grandchildren grow. Tears quietly filled the eyes of many guests. The laughter that had filled the ballroom only moments before now felt painfully embarrassing. People looked down at their polished shoes, ashamed of judging a man by his appearance instead of his character. Vanessa Sterling stood frozen. Every word she had spoken returned to her like an echo she wished she could erase. She realized she had spent years building successful companies while forgetting the value of simple human respect. Wealth had taught her how to recognize expensive watches and luxury brands but not the greatness hidden beneath worn clothing and calloused hands. Gathering every ounce of courage she possessed, Vanessa stepped forward. With sincere regret visible on her face, she apologized publicly to Rowan and Hazel. She admitted that her pride had blinded her and thanked the general for revealing the truth before she made an even greater mistake. Rowan accepted her apology with quiet grace, proving once again that true strength belongs to those who choose forgiveness instead of revenge. Inspired by Rowan's humility, Vanessa announced a new charitable foundation dedicated to supporting single parents working difficult jobs while raising children alone. The first scholarship established through the foundation would proudly carry Rowan Mercer's name. Reporters who had arrived hoping to cover another glamorous corporate celebration instead witnessed one of the most meaningful moments of the year. As the afternoon sunlight streamed through the ballroom windows, Hazel looked proudly at her father with tears shining in her eyes. She no longer felt small among wealthy strangers because she understood something priceless. Greatness was never measured by designer suits, expensive cars, or powerful titles. It was measured by quiet sacrifices, unseen acts of courage, and hearts willing to help others without expecting recognition. Before we reach the ending, we'd love to hear from you. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, leave a heartfelt comment below, and subscribe to spread love daily. Your support helps us continue sharing inspiring stories that remind the world kindness still exists. Glowing Star special request, comment below with the words, "True heroes wear humility," if you believe real greatness comes from character, not appearance. As Rowan and Hazel walked out of the hotel together beneath the warm afternoon sun, they carried nothing new except something far more valuable than money or fame. They carried the respect they had always deserved. Behind them stood a room full of successful people who had learned a lesson no business school could ever teach. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one wearing dusty boots, carrying a tired smile, and holding the hand of a child who believes in them completely. And sometimes, all it takes is one honest salute to remind the world that true heroes rarely announce themselves, they simply keep showing up, loving deeply, serving quietly, and doing the right thing even when no one is watching. That is the kind of legacy that never fades, the kind of courage that outlives applause, and the kind of kindness that can change hearts forever.